Hello, Reds, and welcome back to Rousing the Cup. What a week. A gritty 2-1 Merseyside derby win over Everton was followed up by more drama in the Cup, more late drama against Southampton, and now a very, very tricky trip to Selhurst Park to face Crystal Palace lies in wait. I'm James Brooke, and I'm joined by Freddie Dorman on the line today. Freddie, we know that Crystal Palace is a big fixture in your household, Crystal Palace Liverpool. How are you feeling ahead of that one?
We always seem to get them, don't we? We've got them in the cup last night, and we've got them in the league. They could beat us 4 times in one season. So I think I'll switch my phone off and make sure I don't get any messages from the future in-laws.
Woof, yeah. I mean, that would be a heck of a season from Palace's point of view. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, we will look ahead to that trip to Selhurst Park coming up on Saturday. But before we do, Freddie, we've got to look back at the week that was. It was like I said there at the top, it was another kind of incredible week. Really, we knew that the Merseyside derby wasn't going to be an easy game. We looked ahead at that last time out, and that's exactly the way that it kind of proved in the end. Liverpool started brilliantly, to be fair. Aside from that win over Atletico, I personally thought it was the best that we've seen Liverpool this season in that opening half an hour. They raced into a 2-goal lead, 2 really, really excellently taken goals. One from Ryan Gravenberch, which was a potential goal of the season contender, I would say, the way he finished that. And then Ekitike continued his scoring run with a lovely finish as well. What did you make of the game as a whole? And Liverpool were left hanging on at the end there. We were worried once again that we might throw away another 2-goal lead, but Liverpool got the job done.
Like you said, we got the job done again, but it was very mixed emotions, wasn't it? Like you said, first 30 minutes, I thought we were brilliant and we played some really good football. The link-up play all around the pitch was excellent. The crowd were up for it. You could tell there was something happening. Then, as we've seen, we got that 2-goal lead and we just didn't go for the kill yet again, which I just don't really understand why we do it, because the players are fully fit now, basically. You can't really use that as an excuse. But we just sort of go 2 goals up and then we put the handbrake on and let teams come at us. And it almost cost us again. We didn't need a late winner this time, but we were holding on towards the end and it got really nervy. And against Everton, you don't want that at all. So we just need to carry on, get that 2-goal lead, push for the third, push for the fourth, because that's what we're good at. Our best form of defence is attack. Yet we haven't seemed to be doing it, and it is becoming a little bit of a worry.
It is. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that, because it does feel as though Liverpool, it's by design, basically. It's not that Liverpool get into a big lead and then they kind of lose control of the game. It feels that sometimes by trying to control the game, Liverpool kind of inadvertently hand control back to the other team. And there was no reason for it at Everton. The few days earlier against Atletico, Llorente got that goal just before half-time. We know that can change the way a fixture looks. But Liverpool were 2-0 up and absolutely comfortable at half-time here. They came out for the second half and they couldn't seem to find a red shirt. Nobody was comfortable in possession, and they just allowed Everton to come back into it. But one player who did really stand out, I thought, was Ryan Gravenberch. I mentioned him there with his goal. I mean, he's just getting even better, isn't he, Freddie? 3 Man of the Match awards back to back to back. And Liverpool without Ryan Gravenberch now, you don't even want to think about what that looks like. We saw in kind of a little glimpse into it on Tuesday with Endo sitting as the deepest player, albeit a different role. But he is now taking on that mantle of arguably Liverpool's most important player, isn't he?
Arne Slot has turned Gravenberch into an absolute monster, hasn't he? It's just, under Klopp, he looked like a decent player. Obviously, first season, you thought he'll be okay. He's turned into one of our most important players. And when he's not in the team, it's really proven, isn't it? Like Southampton, like towards the start of the season when he was suspended. I remember when we did this towards the start of the season, we said, who's Liverpool's most important player? I picked Gravenberch. I'm going to go back and mention that. And he's just fantastic, isn't he? He's also adding a bit of an end product, which is quite surprising for a number 6. You think his job's just to hold it down, sit in front of the defence. But he's adding goals, he's adding assists, and he's proven to be one of the most important players in the team. His ceiling is scary, isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did wonder whether you'd mention that, Freddie. It didn't take you long. It only took you 5 games to bring that one back up. I think I mentioned at the time that he wasn't scoring enough, and he has since hit back with 2 goals as well. So, yeah, he has become really, really important. And it was interesting that Slot noted after the game he was going to take him off just before Everton scored. And once Everton scored, he revised that decision and decided that he basically couldn't do without him. And I think that does speak to the fact that Liverpool do need to address that, really. They can't be over-reliant on him. They do need somebody who can come in and do a similar job, albeit maybe at a slightly lower level. But yeah, another really big performance by Ryan Gravenberch. And let us know if you're watching, the supporters, what did you feel about the Merseyside derby? Have you been celebrating? Rubbing it in the face of some neighbours or some co-workers maybe, and were you a little bit worried that they might just sneak in with a draw in those final few minutes? But anyway, they didn't. So Liverpool carry on 5 wins out of 5, now 5 points clear at the top of the table as well, and they do take that into Saturday's game. But before we turn our attention to Croydon, Freddie, let's look back closer to home to Anfield, where Liverpool were without Ryan Gravenberch, as we mentioned on Tuesday. It was a really another really kind of messy evening for Liverpool. Cup nights at Anfield, especially against lower league opposition, should be comfortable, but this one really wasn't. And long before that last kind of 5-minute winner from Ekitike, things looked a little bit precarious for Liverpool. There was so much to talk about in this one. Isak's first goal, obviously Ekitike madness, Giovanni Leoni as well, unfortunately picking up a really, really serious injury. But I think we have to start with Ekitike, Freddie. So what are your thoughts on this? There's been a lot of reaction. So obviously Ekitike scored that last-minute winner to win the game for Liverpool. He was on a booking, having punched the ball away with frustration at an earlier decision, and was then given a second yellow after taking his shirt off and holding up to the crowd, Messi style. It wasn't the game to do that. Slot was very critical of him after the game. What did you make of it?
I mean, we can laugh about it, can't we? But at the end of the day, it was just stupid from him. And I think Slot summed it up nicely. And I like the fact that he didn't try and defend him. He went, he was stupid. Why were you doing it? You should have gone to Chiesa and said, thanks very much, mate, for that assist. But he came on, he was brilliant. And then it was just a moment that I think he let the emotion get the better of him, like he said, didn't he? Whether there was a sort of underlying issue with Isak's just scored in the first half, I'm here to prove a point and I should be the striker leading the line. There could be something like that behind it, but he just needs to forget that. Isak's your teammate, not your enemy. One day you might end up playing together, so just set that aside, focus on your football and just crack on, basically. And that celebration was not the time to do it in the third round of the Carabao Cup against a championship side who were also struggling at the start of this season. It wasn't Messi against Real Madrid, was it? It was Ekitike against Southampton, and I think he'll learn a lot, and he will not be doing that again.
You'd hope not, but I don't know. Players get lost in the emotions sometimes, and I could see him doing it again. He seems like he is a character, Ekitike. We've seen that already. I mean, Slot will be trying to ram that home to him, but who knows what happens when you score a goal in front of the Kop last minute. You never know. All bets are off, I would say. But yeah, it was very silly, and it does mean that he will miss this weekend's game against Crystal Palace, which we'll talk about in a second. I just wanted to talk about Giovanni Leoni before we do that, Freddie, because I thought he was brilliant on his debut. We've waited a while to see him, and I thought he came in and looked imperious, very, very comfortable. He was comfortably the better of the two defenders on the day. I thought Joe Gomez struggled for large parts. But how cruel football is sometimes, having played so well, he's gone in for a 50-50 challenge and he's jarred his knee, and we since have learned that it's an ACL tear. So while there's no kind of timescale being put on it, it does suggest he is going to miss probably, if not all of this season, then most of it. And it does leave Liverpool a little bit short at centre-back as well. What do you think Liverpool should now do? Do you see them going back in for Mark Gahey in January? We've seen Liverpool take a chance in this position in the past. Who do you think is the option now for Slot? We saw Endo playing pre-season, Andy Robertson. What's your take on everything?
Yeah, so firstly, obviously, we wish Leoni a speedy recovery. I thought, like you said, he was absolutely brilliant, and hopefully he'll come back stronger and he will, regain his place in that team. But we have to do something, because we can't defend this title with three defenders or three recognised centre-backs. And I think we've got to learn from that sort of 2021 season where we went for that loan move on Kabak and we played the likes of Reece Williams and Nat Phillips. It got us over the line for fourth place, not to retain the Premier League title. So we have to do something about this, and we can't. Everyone loves Endo. He can't play at centre-back for the foreseeable future. So I think the only option, and probably the best option, is to go and get Mark Gahey in January. We want him in the summer, so why not pay that sort of £20 million that it will probably be, and just have that safety barrier just in case something happens. Van Dijk's 34. He could get an injury. You never know. Joe Gomez is very injury prone. Like you said, he didn't look very good against Southampton, to be honest. We can't rely on him. And Kanate, again, he can be injury prone, and his future is very uncertain as well. So we might as well just push the plans forward 6 months, for example, and make sure we have that stability at the back just in case we need it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go a season with those three options. We absolutely can't, and it is virtually a full season now. So let's look ahead anyway, Freddie. We are coming up against the player that you mentioned there, Mark Gahey, on Saturday, Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace, as you'll well know, have started brilliantly. They're the only other unbeaten side in the Premier League this season, along with Liverpool. It's not going to be an easy game. It's never an easy place to go to for any Premier League team. Liverpool have a surprisingly good record at Crystal Palace, actually. But with Ekitike missing, with the kind of issues in the defence, or certainly question marks over depth in that area, it's going to be a tricky kind of fixture for Liverpool. I mean, you're looking at the points Liverpool have accrued so far, you'd argue whether a point would be possibly a good result for Liverpool in the end. But forgetting that for a moment, let's focus on the real issue going into this game, which is who is going to play up front for Liverpool. So Alexander Isak, we know he's not quite fully fit. I think the plan seems to have been that Ekitike would have started this one with Isak coming off the bench. Now that Isak is the only real kind of recognised option as an out-and-out centre-forward, do you think he'll change that? Or do you think he'll go maybe with a Chiesa through the middle, who was brilliant the other day, by the way? Or maybe go with a system like we saw him use at City last year, with maybe a Dominic Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz kind of double false nine system? What do you think he should do? What do you think he will do, Freddie?
I think he will do what I think he should do, and that's to start Alexander Isak up front. He played 45 minutes, didn't he, against in the week, and he looked sharp. He looked like he could carry on, but I think they just rested him just in case. So we've got to hope that he's fitter than perhaps Slot is making out and that he can start this game. I don't think he'll play the full game. I think 60, 70 minutes again. Hopefully we could have the game wrapped up by then, but knowing us, we probably won't. And knowing Palace, they'll probably still be in the game. And then I think he'll deploy that sort of false nine with maybe Wirtz might go into that sort of position, or even Chiesa might come off the bench and play there. He was brilliant against Southampton. Obviously, he was off the right. You could even put Salah up there and Chiesa on the right. There's so many options, which is perfect for Slot. It will give him a bit of a headache, but it's a good option to have, isn't it? But I think it will be Isak to start off, and then we might see someone else like a Szoboszlai, Wirtz or Chiesa play that sort of false nine role.
Yeah, I mean, it just, the only thing with that for me is that I think the plan from the medical staff will have probably been not to start Isak, having started him the other day. So I think it will just throw that into a little bit of kind of change. And, you know, they're being so careful as they are, the medical staff. They do like to plan everything very, very thoroughly. They've been very good at that since Arne Slot came in. So you just wonder whether they'll just be reluctant to change that. And given that Isak is so important, the price we've paid and all of the rest of it. So that'd be my only question around that. But then the options aren't particularly enticing. Otherwise, Chiesa, for me, has looked good through the middle, better off the left, but good enough through the middle. But having played a full 90 as well on Tuesday, is he ready to go again? He's not played consecutive. I don't think he started consecutive games since he joined Liverpool. So that would be a question mark as well. So when you really look at it, that Hugo Ekitike decision in that split second really has had ramifications for Liverpool. And we'll have to wait and see how it kind of affects them. Palace will come at them. I think they won't let them sit and have the ball. We know how difficult they are. Ismail Assar is back fit. He's always a thorn in Liverpool's side. It's going to need Milos Kerkez to really come through and maybe have his best game for Liverpool, I think. He's been really good he was really good at Everton. He was really good at Arsenal. He struggled at Burnley, we know. So if he's continuing that pattern, he's going to have a stinker at Palace. So he needs to step up a little bit, doesn't he, Freddie? And do you think he still has the shirt? We thought Robertson maybe did the other week, but it looks like it's come back to Kerkez.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Kerkez for this one. Like I said, brilliant against Everton. I thought he had a really good game, and he managed the emotion of the game quite well, because that's one thing we were worried about. Would the derby get the better of him? He'll fly into tackles and just be a bit rash, but he was really composed and calm. If he started Robertson, it wouldn't be the end of the world. He's an experienced fullback, isn't he? But I think he's going to use Kerkez and that pace and his strength to try and, nullify the attack that Palace have, like Ismail Assar. He always seems to score against us, doesn't he? When he did it for Watford, he did it in the Community Shield a few months ago. They're going to be a real threat, Palace, and I think they'll be the first to say they don't have the best players in the world, but they have one of the best teams. They are they're a proper unit, and they know how to sort of frustrate teams, and that's what's going to cause us problems. That three at the back, they're brilliant at just sitting in and frustrating an attack. and then those two wing backs, they come back and help out, but then they will bomb up and down the wing all game long. So Kirkes and whoever starts at right back, whether that's Frimpong or Bradley, they're going to have a real issue on their hands, and Palace is going to be a very tricky one to navigate.
Yeah, and the midfield as well. It'd be interesting to see how Adam Wharton does up against Ryan Gravenberch. Of course, he has been linked with Liverpool, so I'm sure a few fans will be keeping an eye on his performance. A prediction, if I can push you for that, Freddie, just before we leave.
I hate the predictions, don't I? Because I did get the last one right, actually. I did say 2-1 Liverpool, and it was. Palace is a tricky one. I think it's gonna. It could be a draw, but I'm gonna say we nick it again towards the end. And I think it's going to only be a 1-0 Liverpool win. I think Palace have a really good defence. And I'm going to, unfortunately for Ekitike, said it's going to be Alexander Isak that's going to score the winner.
Well, that would be a big moment. And let us know how you see this one going. Do you agree with Freddie? Do you think it'll be tight 1-0, or do you think we're worrying over nothing? Liverpool will bounce back with a comfortable win at Selhurst Park. Seems unlikely, but you never know. But let us know in the comments. So, what do you think will happen? Who do you think should play up front with Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike? Hugo Ekitike out. Alexander Isak maybe not ready to start. Who should Arne Slot go for? Let us know what you think in the comments. And, Liverpool, another statement last week with the Derby win. The Cup was chaotic. But can Liverpool go 6 out of 6? It would certainly be a big, big moment for Liverpool. Right, well, remember to like, remember to subscribe, follow us on X at Rousing the Cop, on Instagram as well. We're up on there. So tell your mates, let us know, let them know what we're doing here. And we'll see you next time. Up the Reds.